Joining me on 700 WLW, Dan Rust has a book called Workplace Poker. And I love the title of this thing, too, because it deals with office politics and how if the idea is that if you keep your head down and you do your job and you shut up and you stay above the fray, that somehow it's going to work out in the end. Dan Rust says, are you out of your mind? If you're doing that, then you're getting played. Dan, good morning. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Scott. I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Good. Victim or diva?
Well, the bigger lesson, whether victim or diva, is that because of the way she, quote, played the game, she's got more people against her now than for her. And in reality, if you look at the overall PR game, I think many people would have considered her to have been wronged if we all knew that she had been notified by a text message by Michael and had no idea that this was going on. And, there would have been a natural sense of, well, that's just not right. Why would that happen? But then because of her actions, she ends up almost killing off most of the goodwill that would have naturally been created. And I think a lot of times what happens, like in a normal workplace, is we get wronged in some way. We don't get the promotion, or we did work and someone else gets credit, or the boss takes credit for our work, or whatever the way is that we were wronged. If we don't take a moment to step back and say, all right, now what response from me will serve me and will ultimately, move my career forward. If we just react emotionally and begin to complain to people about how we were wronged or whatever, oftentimes we can, again, kill off that goodwill that would normally be generated. Because usually when someone else takes credit for your work, people know. They may not say it, they may not acknowledge it, but people know. Or when you didn't get a promotion you deserved, people know, and you want to leverage that goodwill, not kill it off by being a kind of an abrasive jerk about it.
Well, that's the thing. I think diva here too. I mean, there's times in this business I've seen some bad stuff, and there are times in people I know and have been through this before where you kind of know you're getting fired, but you don't blow it up and walk away, or something's going to change. And it's it may very well for Michael Strahan. I don't know the whole backstory. Is oftentimes I've seen this is, hey, listen, Michael, we'll talk to Kelly. When the time's right, we'll take care of this. Don't you worry about it. And so he thought that management had the back, and the problem is you have 15,000 people who are at the top of the food chain, and they thought this guy was going to do it, but the guy's assistant was supposed to do it, but then handed it off to another lackey, and then no one did it. And so the guy who looks bad is Mike Strahan, not the executives at the top. And so, I've seen that scenario play out before too. And Michael's probably like, dude, I thought you're supposed to tell, we dropped the ball on that one. Sorry. And then if he would have told her, then he would have been in trouble.
And if you start with the presumption that even when things like this happen, if you start with the presumption that people were acting with goodwill, and you explore first to figure out, okay, what really happened, a lot of times you get exactly what you described, sort of a comedy of errors with nobody intending to be bad. Although sometimes you explore it further and you find out, they actually meant to stab me in the back, or they actually meant to screw me in some way. And if you find that out, again, that doesn't mean you get to be the diva. That means, okay, well, at least I know the reality. Now I have to play the game to make sure that I am more likely to win, as opposed to, again, killing off whatever goodwill I may have generated from others, knowing that I was taken advantage of.
Dan Rust, Workplace Poker. Are you playing the game, or are you just getting played on 700 WLW? So what you're saying is this: if you're the good soldier, if you're not the squeaky wheel, and you put your head down and do your job, you're wasting your time from a career perspective?
Well, one of the big errors I've seen many people make in terms of workplace politics, if that's what we want to call it, is because it's distasteful to a lot of people, particularly talented, hardworking people. We have this inclination of, I just want to do my job. I want to do good work. I want to produce good output for my organization. I want to be recognized for the good work, and I don't want to play the quote-unquote game. Well, yeah, okay, that's nice, except that the game is being played every day, whether you like it or not. It is being played, so you don't really have the option to just take your chips off the table. If you decide to opt out, what's really happening then is the game moves on, it continues to be played, and you're not going to win because you've decided you're better than that, or that you don't need to play that game.
Is the hardest part trying to decipher exactly, because, there's the mission statement business. Oh, we're a business of integrity, all this bull crap that they put out there, the corporate PR line. But you really got to read between the lines, the subtext. It's not like, we're big in our community and we care and value each employee. And every company says that, but no company, very few companies really believe that.
Well, I actually think in your opening segment of this, you gave me the title of my next book. I think you said, All Management Sucks. And I think if you can accept that, and not in a judgmental sort of way, just say, generally speaking, in most organizations, it's not because people are stupid. Some are, but it's not because of that. It's just that most organizations have their stuff, just like most families have their stuff. And if you can just accept it and then step back almost objectively. Do you remember years ago, Jane Goodall, the way she would observe chimpanzees in the wild? Mm-hmm. And she could see them doing horrendous things, but she would just dutifully note in their book that, chimpanzee A ate the baby of chimpanzee B. And if you can just be a little objective about it, and observe over time, you're much less likely to be surprised. If you're trying to read executives or read the boss, I think where people really struggle is when they are trying to do it in a panic, where, suddenly you're a little paranoid about something, so you think you're going to read your boss when you haven't really been paying attention for the last 6 months. My recommendation in the book is that you develop certain observation habits where you sort of lay out a baseline, where you begin to really understand how not just your boss but other people communicate. You understand what moves them, you understand what persuades them, and then it's easier to determine when that baseline changes because you've been on a subtle level just paying attention throughout the month.
Yeah, and then you have to be willing to change or engage at that point too. So you call it on the book the game under the game. And that's what it is, understanding not just, on the surface, but really who the key players are and how they play the game. That's not everyone in a position of the utmost authority really is the one in control. There are individuals maybe even below them that are the real decision makers, the one that really stir the pot.
Well, and Michael Strahan is actually a great example of a lot of the things that I cover in the book, because I wanted to write a book about workplace politics that your typical positive, ethical person could say, oh, yeah, I can do these things. This actually feels good. This actually is productive. And so when you read about Michael Strahan and the way he operates with executives in the business and the people around him, he's generally considered someone who's easy to work with. And nothing against her. I mean, I think she's a great TV personality, but Kelly's reputation is different. A little more abrasive, a little more diva-ish, a little tougher to work with, not just with the people who report to her, but at the network executive level. She's not easy. She's not cooperative. And so there is a political element to that. I think Michael has done, think about it, from where he was to where he is to where he's going, he's done a masterful job of managing the relationships that he has to work with in order to move forward with the skill set that he has. Yeah,
I don't know really the career path. I don't know much about Kelly Ripa, a very attractive woman, but in her history and all that stuff, but I know she has been doing, since the Regis days, being his sidekick and now the chair of the show. But Michael Strahan, in addition to doing that, is also a commentator on Fox. He also does work for GMA. He does a bunch of other stuff as well. And so the more you do, the more in demand you become. Whereas Kelly Ripa is doing a great job, I guess, hosting live. But other than doing some refrigerator and yogurt commercials, I don't know what else she's doing inside to advance that. So maybe, the whole notion about the wage gap myth, one of those things. Maybe Kelly Ripa has kids. Maybe she's, she wants to be a mom and be around her kids. And, Michael Strahan, I don't know his situation either, but he's willing to travel and do all these things to broaden his career. But that's the rift between men and women. And they talk about the stupid pay gap thing. It largely has to do with personal choices you make.
Well, and in terms of the pay gap, the advice I give to both men and women in terms of their careers is do not ever expect that anyone in government is going to fix this issue for you. If you actually think there is a pay gap, that you are not earning what you should be earning, okay, that's your perception. It may be real, it may not be, but it's up to you to fix that.
Yeah.
And sometimes it means you have to overcompensate. You have to be so good that they can't not pay you what you're worth, and that sometimes means working harder, doing more, stretching further. But it's exactly what people have been doing for decades. That's how you earn more money. You create more value. Mm-hmm. You don't think that you're going to put people in Washington, D.C. who are suddenly going to fix that issue for you.
Yeah, okay. You have to understand the rules of the game. And that's the other thing. You can't just walk into a new company or whatever and within a week figure how things out. It's going to take a little bit of time is the other factor. You also have to be patient, I would imagine.
Well, and I've heard from a lot of women who have read the book that what they appreciate is that the self-promotion strategies, they're not conniving, they're not manipulative, they are very positive, and they are relatively easy. But they're also very subtle. It's not like you're going to suddenly be tooting your own horn from the rooftops, but there are subtle ways day in and day out that most people can make sure that they're getting the level of recognition that they ultimately deserve, and that'll ultimately drive their career.
So it's more, I like that, because I know no one wants to be a bootlicker like Cunningham or something like that, and you're out there kissing the boss's ass all the time, and yes or no, oh, your tie looks good today, and you'd rather you want to be more subtle. You want to, it's for him, it's more like a fart in church.
Well, and Donald Trump.
I'm talking about Bill Cunningham, the guy on after me. He is the consummate bootlicker.
Well, when you think about the Donald Trump personality, Donald Trump works for Donald Trump.
Right.
But if you have someone in the workplace who has that kind of just overt self-promotion, it's not only is it off-putting, but it actually works against them, because most of us then secretly just wait for that person to fall down. We're not willing to step forward and help them. So, I think when we talk about self-promotion, we have to be clear that it's not the obvious, loud, P.T. Barnum, Donald Trump type of self-promotion. It's in many ways helping other people and recognizing other people and being a good team player, but doing it in a way that serves your career, because we also know there are plenty of vampires in the workplace who, you help them out, they're great about taking all the help, but they don't flip around and do the same thing for you. So one of the things we talked through in the book is, how do you recognize the vampires, and how do you recognize the people who actually will help reciprocate the kind of help that you're giving to them?
His name is Dan Russ. The book is Workplace Poker. Are you playing the game or just getting played? Thanks for the time and good stuff.
Hey, thanks so much, Scott.
Yeah, anytime. There you go.